time. It's our time, my friends. Time for millions of maturepreneurs, 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, to revolutionize how we lead, do business, and innovate our world. I'm your host, Jeanette Anderson, and welcome to my conversations with fascinating people who would rather inspire than retire. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Maturepreneur podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Jeanette Anderson, and today I am here with one of my favorite people, Jan Talen. Now, I know I sometimes say that. No, she doesn't say that very much. Yeah, she really is one of my favorite people. Not only has she been a client, but she's become a friend and is just such a loving, I shouldn't talk about you like you're not in the room, are such a loving presence in the world and such an advocate for creating more love. It's one of the things that I just really appreciate about you, Jan. So welcome.
Thank you, Jeanette. Those very sweet words. And I think sometimes I live into that mission to help people love others more. And sometimes I probably fall a little flat.
Welcome to life and being human.
Yes.
Let me tell you, pretty much every time I've ever seen you, even when you're at your most despairing, you still tend to be smiling and you have a light and you muster up your affection for your grandkids when it's grandma day, and you just keep showing up with love for family. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about how do you, if you move your family from crazy to calm at any age or stage of life. So Jan will talk about you, introduce you more formally in just a minute, but basically has been doing family and couples therapy for a very, very long time, and still loves it, still passionately connected to it, and still really wants to create this. Now, for those of you who may not have kids right now, your kids probably have kids. So listen up for some tips for them. And even how can you apply these tips to your adult children, family, of origin and your other relationships. There's going to be lots of great content here for you to apply at every age and stage. So you don't have to just be a younger family with kids to get value out of this. And in fact, what we're hoping and assuming is that many of you grandparents can be the example and support your families, your kids' families, in being able to have more sanity, more joy, and more fun in their life. So that's what we're talking about today. So let me tell you about Jan. This is Jan Talen, and she's had 38 years of energy directed to co-creating marriage and families that flourish in their own creative way. She loves playing in the sand or the dirt or of her garden, on the water via a boat or a snowboard or a ski board. Well, the ski is on the water, the snowboard's not. And with kids and grandkids of all ages. She knows that real life is real work, and it's really worth the work as it becomes fulfilling, unlimited, and naturally good. Fun, the way that God has intended it to be. Yeah, love that. So welcome. So tell people where you're currently calling in from.
I am calling in from Rockford, Michigan. It's just a little bit north of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and just about 45 minutes away from the the west side of Michigan, where Lake Michigan is, which looks like the ocean, but there are no sharks and there's no salt water.
There you go. Okay. So, and you're a big water fan, right? So obviously you go water skiing, and she still goes snowboarding and so forth, which I envy. I think that's just an incredible amount of physical well-being. So tell us something about you that people wouldn't guess. Okay. So it can't be about your water sports, can't be about your grandkids, because you talk about those a lot on your social media and so forth. So what would be something that would, what's something I don't know about you?
Ooh. I don't know if you know that I got married my third year in college. We got married on Labor Day weekend. I went back to school the Monday afterwards to do some online classes. We moved to California. No family, no nothing. Well, my husband had family there, but 8 hours south. So all by ourselves, we moved to California. He started law school. I had to finish undergrad, but within 5 months, I was pregnant.
Oh boy.
And all of a sudden, we were spinning. And that's some of, in the history of my life, that's some of where the family crazy came in, and how do we create calm.
Okay. So it came from your lived experience. And yeah, no, I didn't know that you got married that quickly after you were married. Clearly, you guys got along. Okay. So we're going to be talking about connections that create good communication so that when there's confusion or conflicts that need resolution, we can do that calmly, cohesively, and creatively. That's a lot of C's. I like that.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about, first of all, a little bit about your journey. So you mentioned, and we'll talk about your why as well. Well, why don't we leap into your why right now? Why do you do the work you do? So you alluded to the fact that, yes, you've lived it, but really, what is your why? Why do you care so much about whether families are calm or not?
This comes some from my own family, but we managed our crazy in our conflict in very quiet ways. It was still crazy. It also developed out of my work as a marriage and family therapist, and my exhaustion, the energy drain that I had when a couple who was 45 or 50 came in and said, we want help divorcing. Our adult children are mad at us, but we just haven't really got along since we had kids. And that created such sorrow for me because the trickle down was so huge. The kids were distressed, the grandkids were distressed. Their adult friends who were their same age were all distressed. And I went, what's happening? And we bring it back down to, it's the distress that happens and the chaos that happens when children are added to a marriage. And we think that that's joyous, and aren't you all so happy, and isn't everybody great? And the answer underneath the skin is, no, we're crazy inside and out. We don't know what to feel. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to take care of each other anymore. We're confused. And so I'm tired of those families that look really great, divorcing, and the chaos that it creates. But we can fix that by taking care of it in the early years of parenting.
Okay, I like that. That's a kind of a really multi-layered driver for you in terms of really wanting to support a society on all levels where this impact ripples out, and then going back, like you said, to the source of it and nipping it in the bud there. So is that what pushed you in the direction of becoming a family therapist originally?
No. When I jumped into the world of marriage and family therapist, it was brand new. I was in California, was one of the first states to create a license for this approach. It was a more holistic approach. It made more sense to me than social work. And I didn't want that amount of trauma that social work often brought you into. And I didn't want I wasn't drawn towards the individual diagnosis that like a psychologist gets drawn into, and there's no slam on any of those. All of those are important spaces. For me, the marriage and family place made sense because it included everybody, and that just made a lot of sense to my brain.
That makes sense. Okay. And how was, because I know your faith is important to you, was that a component of it right from the beginning, or is that something that's deepened over time?
Well, my faith has been a part of me since I was a little girl, with different places of growth and not growth, and this is a Christian faith. It became integral into my life and my practice as I saw that things were bigger than me. And for my faith world, I would sit in a session and I would go, Jesus, what do you see? Because I have to see them the way Jesus sees them in order to love them past their ugliness, the way that Jesus loves them. Because love is still our most powerful change agent.
Right.
And we can do it. We can do lots of different things, but we don't do it with a genuine base of love, it's not lasting. It ends up being manipulative or confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's a great mic drop kind of comment. Love is still our biggest change agent.
yeah.
And so your practice is not necessarily specifically faith-based, but
No.
it is the component that you draw on to be the kind of person you want to be, the kind of therapist you want to be.
Yes. I never marketed it just to Christians. I always said, if you find me, we'll talk and make sure that we're a good fit. There were some situations I didn't take. They were outside of really the scope that I had energy for. Yeah, but otherwise, my job, from what I can tell, is that Jesus says, love the people of the world. So I worked to find a way to do that.
Okay, awesome. And so how long have you been, you've been in doing therapy for 38 years, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So many people are going to be saying, why are you still doing that, Jan? You probably could retire. You probably could go and spend all your time water skiing and with your grandkids. And I know you would love doing that. And you do quite a lot of that, right?
Yes.
Why are you still working at all?
I love people. I don't quite know what to say about that. I love people. I love helping people.
Yeah.
And I love seeing people release tension and be able to live their best and better lives.
Right.
To say, I didn't hug my kid because I was obligated to. I loved my kid because I hugged my kid because I actually felt love for them.
Yeah.
That's just a game changer. What more? I mean, what would make your day happier? Seriously.
Right. Yeah.
That I made an apple pie? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So part of it is that you still love loving people. And part of it is, I know that part of it is that you also want to stay active and engaged and staying vital. Like you're just not the kind of person who wants to sit around and watch Netflix, right?
No, very boring. Sorry.
But I also know that it's been a challenge for you at times to not get response, to not be as effective as you would like, to not make as much money as you would like. Talk a little bit about that aspect of your journey. How has it been? We'll come back to kind of the marriage and family therapy stuff, but I'm curious about your entrepreneurial journey because it's not always easy. And in fact, often is very not easy. So what has been that journey been like for you over the years? How was it when you first started? Was it very difficult to get going?
Well, I think we have to define for me, what does success look like? Must it be visible? I had said long ago, I need to write a course. I need to reach a broader base than the 3 to 4% that go to counseling. How do I do that? And that was for me bringing a course together. So I took a class and I put a course together. Then it was, how do you get that course out into the world? And that probably has been the biggest challenge, is how to do that. Not from so much my determination space, but as the balance of energy and finances in terms of how much energy do I spend doing it myself? How much do I draw from family finances, because I wasn't creating much of my own, to pay for something that we don't know if it's going to pay off or not?
Right.
And so that has been sort of the ongoing challenge.
And so how did you make that decision? Because that is a very big challenge that a lot of people have to face. And especially for maturepreneurs, often we may have limited retirement funds, et cetera. So how did you make that decision? What was the tipping point for you?
Well, I'll go a little bit back to my faith, because I keep asking Jesus, am I in the center of your will? Am I doing what you are calling me to do? Okay. Because I often say, like I'm on your podcast, I don't know who's listening. I have no control how they hear it.
Yeah.
But I have some silly level of faith that somebody's hearing it who needs to hear it.
Yeah.
And so that keeps me going. Now, on the financial side, I have a husband who says, if that's what you think you need to do, then do that, please. Don't step outside of what you think you're called to do because you're worried about me or because you're worried about finances. Now, thankfully, we have enough finances that we can flip around with this a little bit.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have a supportive husband, I would have dumped this a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, well, so first of all, if you're listening, go get a supportive spouse if you haven't got one. But also then, so when it comes down to the deciding, what were some of the key things? So you've got a supportive spouse, so you've got the option. Now, how do you decide? What do you do yourself? Because I know you do quite a lot yourself. You do a lot of your technology yourself. You do a lot of your own social media creation and posting and so forth. How do you make that decision and find that balance for you?
Well, I like to create. And so I often like what I create better than what other people create.
Yeah.
So when I can find somebody who does it better than me, then I'm intrigued and willing to spend money on it. But in my arrogant self, in some way or another, then I think I can do that better. Then I want to do it myself.
Right.
No, I don't think that's always been helpful for myself. In my
yes. Yeah. Because sometimes people think they're good designers and they're not, or sometimes they think they're good writers and they're not, and so forth. So it's good to get that checked out. Yep.
Yes. Okay. And like you continually sort of edit what I do and how I do it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should think about that again. Oh yeah, I should have reread that.
Yeah.
And remember, I'm a therapist, and you're more of a marketer.
Yeah.
And therapists are marketers, but we market differently than a marketer markets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so getting my brain to get those two to go together is tricky sometimes.
Exactly. So what made you decide to, because you've gone through several programs and bought different programs and done some were helpful and some weren't and so forth. And you've worked with coaches. So what made you decide to hire a coach? What was your decision process around that?
My decision around that was the experience of working with some really large programs that also cost a pretty penny, promised a whole lot, but in reality, I was a drop in a bucket. I wasn't fast enough, I wasn't big enough, I wasn't loud enough to get the attention that I thought I had bought into. So when I hired you as a coach and as a leader, that was one of the pieces that was important to me, as I need somebody to give me direct feedback about directly what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not feedback about what everybody else is doing. Not helpful. There's something about my stuff that needs help. What is that?
Right. So more direct, specific support for you directly. And it aside from deciding to work with me particularly, what were some of the biggest concerns you had about hiring a coach?
I wanted to click. Other people that I had talked to were what I'm going to call arrogant or pushy. Well, of course, you just do it that way. Well, just look it up. Well, you think I haven't looked it up already? You think I haven't already spent 10 hours on this? What do you think?
Yeah.
So somebody who was compassionate and was not going to roll their eyes, either by saying you're too old, you'll never figure it out, or of course you should hire that up. Nobody does that themselves. Well, the people who are doing it for me do it themselves. And so there was some of that sort of tension there where a closer relationship was important for me.
It's interesting because I think it's important for us to have a criteria for what support we call in, right? And it can be financial. Do I have support within my infrastructure, my family for this? What's important to me? And for you, it was personal attention. It was compassion. It was someone who was not ageist, which is important, especially for as we get older. That's very prevalent, and it's sometimes subtle and sometimes not subtle. That people dismiss us, or they just assume we know, or they, think we should be able to do things a certain way and stuff like that. So it's important to really know what's important to you so that you can hire based on that. So thank you. It's good advice for people to think about that. And what I know of you is that you've been very committed to wanting to continue to make that contribution. and to have it available regardless of what happens. So it hasn't been driven by money for you. It's been more about really wanting to make more contribution. Doesn't mean you don't want to make money. You do, but it's also really a lot about contribution. So really understanding what's your driver, what's your motivator, what lights you up, what, like you said right at the very beginning, how do you define success?
Yeah.
So what is your definition of success?
On a personal level is whether or not I am pleased with what I've put out in the world. So whether or not my Instagram posts look right and well run well. Whether or not my emails get some sort of traction on them. Yeah. And when I'm at a live event, do I find that engaging and uplifting in some way or another? So that's probably my leaders in success, is that.
Am I contributing? Am I being received? Am I making a difference, an impact? And is the ethos that I'm part of and creating positive and uplifting?
Yes.
That's a very good definition of success. I like it. Okay, so let's go back to supporting families and couples and so forth. First of all, let's dial it in for people who are listening who might be grandparents or parents of people who have young kids. Yeah. And one of the things that you say is married with kids can be a marriage wrecker. Now, many grandparents have forgotten what it's like to have young kids, right? Like they have grandkids, which is very different because you can spoil them and hand them back, right? Yes. But bring us kind of more personally into what are some of the issues that really impact families and young parents? What are some of the biggest, what makes them a marriage wrecker?
Well, some of the issues are just the amount of expectation that comes with new parents. We have so much available to us and so many decisions with people having strong opinions one way or another. You're going to bottle feed or breastfeed. You're going to baby wrap or not. You're going to baby carry or not. You're going to let them co-sleep with you or not co-sleep with you. Okay, and all of those are little heated topics for young parents, and they might be older in age, but they're still new to parenting. To how do we decide that? And you have to be together as a husband and wife in that. But then you also have the pressures from the outside world.
Yeah.
Okay, and trying to navigate what that is. Kids get a little bit older. Okay, now, your kid's only 2. You're letting them watch a show? You're letting them look at your phone and they know how to handle it a little bit? Yeah, they know how to turn it on and off. Versus so, one side says yes and the other side says, oh, no. And you got, and then you have clean food and dirty food and la. There's a lot of pressures here in trying to figure out what's right and what's good. Now, I don't remember exactly your question, but I just feel bad for those young parents, and they're just bombarded with things.
Exactly. Well, and there's also, they take up a lot of time and energy. So you often don't have the time and energy for the intimacy in the relationship, and you drift apart. You become parents versus a couple and roommates versus lovers. So there's those dynamics in the relationship, right? Yeah. Yes. But a lot of grandparents may say, well, none of that's mine to get involved in, other than they may have all these opinions about what's right and wrong. But how can they support their, let's say, adult children who have young kids? What's the best support a grandparent could give to a young couple?
Affirm them.
Affirm them?
Affirm them.
Okay.
They are not trying to mess up. They are trying to do the best they can. Yeah. No, I don't know. I've met a lot of parents. Nobody has walked into parenthood saying, I'd like to mess this up and do the best job at messing it up I can.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They're walking into parenting. Sometimes they're thrown into it with, holy crap, what is happening? And how do we do this? I don't know how you did it.
Yes. Yeah. So affirm them and recognize that they're doing the best they can. What about advice? Because lots of, we have lots of advice. Some of it's good, some of it's not, but we think it's all great. So what do you recommend in terms of how, when, or do we give advice?
Often I say just bite your tongue and pray. It's part one.
That should be a bumper sticker. Bite your tongue and pray.
Some grandparents would then say I would have no more tongue left. It would be all bitten off.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
But the next part is to, if there's something seriously that that is going to really impact how the kiddo is growing or developing, or if there's something that is really messing up the relationship in the marriage, that using a word, something like, I have observed, I can't say the word, I have observed this happening a time or two. I'm wondering if you've noticed it too.
Okay. So
you have to be genuinely curious.
Yeah. Okay.
This is not a hidden accusation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes there's just an offer. Okay. I've noticed that your diaper bag is often has things thrown in it sort of here and there. Would you like me to help you shop for a diaper bag that has more components, more compartments in it? Or would you mind if, when I have the kiddo, would you mind if I just organized it for you so you could find your things again? It's permission. Okay, no, Mom, my diaper bag is just fine. I know where everything is. Okay, fine.
Okay, great.
Because they probably do. And you rearranging it is going to throw their brain off. Don't add extra stress.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It's not the same thing at all, but I have a friend who's blind, and or mostly blind, and he has his phone arranged a certain way, and he knows where all the apps are.
Yeah.
And his sister would come and rearrange them because it was more logical. Infuriated him because then he couldn't find anything in front, right? And it's also very arrogant. So get agreement. Offer an observation and be genuinely curious. Don't do it as a manipulative kind of hooky way of saying, here's what I think you should be doing. But really just get agreement. I have an observation. Do you want to hear it? I have some thoughts. Would you like to hear them? I have a suggestion. Do you want it? And if they say no, say okay, and let that be okay. Don't
okay. Yes. A small example of that is I'm not at the kids' houses as much all day anymore because the kids are in school. But when I took care of infant grandkids, I'm there all day. They're sleeping. I'm bored. So I end up taking a wash rag and going around and wiping fingerprints and wiping off the kitchen cupboards and, saying, can I do a load of laundry, and doing things because I don't sit still for very long. But then I had to pause, and I, especially to my daughter-in-law, thought I better just ask her, if I take a wash rag around and wash off your kitchen cupboards, and fold some laundry for you, is that insulting or is that helpful? Because if you would prefer I won't.
Yeah.
And she just looked at me like, I would never say no to that.
Yeah.
Which was a relief to me. But I just thought, I better just stand down here a minute.
Yeah.
It's her house.
Very smart.
Stuff.
Because she may be interpreting that as your judgment of she doesn't keep a clean enough house and she's doing it wrong and she should be doing this. Really, really smart and great example. So ask lots of communication. And you're a big advocate of communication. So let's talk about communication for couples, okay? Whether you're younger or older, similar issues often, because if you don't resolve them when you're younger, you still have them when you're older.
They don't go away.
What are some great ways for people to check in with each other when there are concerns or issues? Like you mentioned, often people who come together as parents have very different parenting styles. They grew up with different ways of doing things.
Yep.
So I've got my way, you've got your way, my way's right, your way's wrong, typically, right? That persists until, we die. So whether you're like, I'm staying with an older couple that are friends here, and they still have this little, they'll still communicate about, this is not the way I would do it. I would do it this way. And here's why I did this, and so forth. So what are some ways of opening up conversations or having a conversation about how you do things versus how I do things?
We're going to back up just a little bit because there's a mindset that really helps us settle down. And we would like couples to do this very early in their marriage and then revisit it over the course of marriage and over the time of parenting. And that is to have really good conversations about what do we want to be like as a couple. Okay, what are our dreams? And when I think about it, and be married forever, what does that really mean when rubber meets the road?
Yeah.
Because if we can have shared dream, and not exactly the same because we're different, but we have a shared dream, and that then helps to define and decide how we're going to manage conflict. How are we going to stay emotionally connected? How are we going to talk to each other and listen to each other without always hearing a snarky space or a diminishing comment, and hear it as concern or hear it as humor and affirmation? So when Chip says to me, "Are you done tonight yet?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I wanted to do this and this." He used to just like roll his eyes like, "One more thing, Jan? Really, one more thing?" and I would say, "You are welcome to help me finish it, or you are welcome to go read your book, whatever is better for you. My brain isn't going to turn off until that laundry is not sitting in front of me."
Yeah.
Okay. And I genuinely didn't care.
Yeah.
But we had to come to some space there of listening to each other. What did we desire? We desired a calm going to bed at the same time.
Right.
So that's what we were working towards. There are times when it was 11:30. I had to just shut up and be done.
Yeah.
I mean, baby was going to be awake at 6.
So let's talk more specifically about that. What kind of couple do we want to be? And you mentioned readdressing that or having that conversation multiple times along the way. Give us an example. What's the kind of couple you and Chip, your husband, want to be at this stage of your life?
We want to still be connected. And we want to be, how would I say that, more available to each other. When we were parenting, we had 4 kids. We were both working our own careers. The kids are within 8 years of each other, so we were parenting and busy. And we sort of said, we are together putting our first energy into parenting. We are going to stay nicely connected as a couple, but we aren't going to spend our money so much on playing with each other as we are going to be playing with as a family. Okay, now we have transitioned that some, not totally, because we still share playtime with kids and toys and water and things.
Yeah.
That's still true.
Yeah.
But like tonight, what are we going to do for fun? I just came home with 4 fruit trees and 3 evergreens.
Okay.
And for us, this is going to be fun. We're planting trees tonight and we're going to have fun.
Okay.
Okay. But we set some goals and we said that's what we're after.
Okay. So you defined what connected means to you and what kind of being more time for each other means, and what that looks like, what it looks like for him and what it looks like for you, because that may be very different, right? The couple, and many couples that I'm living with here, he's definitely an acts of service kind of way of demonstrating his love, and she is definitely a words of affirmation, and they often, she doesn't see the acts of service and he doesn't think to give the words of service or words of affirmation. And so they really have to consciously work on that. And so she's asked him very directly, and they won't mind me sharing this, to let me know when you've done acts of service so I can appreciate it, because I sometimes don't notice it.
Yes.
And that's how they've worked around that, because she doesn't want to miss it.
Right.
Values it, but she doesn't necessarily, that's not on her radar, right? It's not her natural thing. So really letting each other know how to love you, how that looks now versus before.
Yeah. And some of that is with the couple that you're talking about, and with all of us with our love language pieces, is learning how to become bilingual. Right? So that when he speaks in his language, she understands it.
Yeah.
When she speaks in her language, he understands it.
Yeah, I'm writing this one down because I think this is going to be a great little post I'm going to go put in my Facebook community. When it comes to love languages, we need to learn how to be bilingual when it comes to love languages, because a lot of us just think, well, this is mine and that's just the way it is. But no. So that's brilliant. Okay. And what else are some of the ways to deal with conflict? Whether, again, you're a young couple or an older couple, what are some of the ways to deal with conflict when most of us have never learned how to do that? It's never too late to add some tools. So give us 2 or 3 tools to deal with conflict or disagreement.
Yes. One of them is actually listen to what someone is saying. Don't listen to the words in your head. If you turn off your head and you hear what they're saying with their words and with their face and their body, and you hear that accurately, your perspective will shift enough to find a way to become closer together. Okay, just turn that off. If you have something to say, say it after you really understood what the other person has spoken.
Okay. So really listen and have the relationship with them, not with the conversation in your head.
Yes. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just being defensive.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you listen with a whole shield over yourself, you haven't heard much. It's all muffled.
Right. Okay. So that's one. What's another one?
Another one is remembering how to honor and respect. Okay. It's better to have your relationship well than to be right. Take care of that relationship. Let your heart be gentle and tender. Okay. This is honoring. It's uplifting. And it creates moldability so that you can reshape how you see something and how you feel, and the other person can reshape too. Now you can blend together. If you're so hard in your own space, see, I can't do anything here. But when I honor you, I open up my heart to you. And now I can become more vulnerable. I feel safer, and we together can become far more creative in how to take care of something. Okay, and that's where that honor comes in.
I think that's a beautiful definition of honor, and what often gets in the way, at least I know for me, and I'm sure for others, is fear of being left, fear of being wrong, fear of being judged, fear of being, all of those things. And in that fear, we get attached to being right or to defending and so forth. It's really hard to then open your heart and soften. And so what are some ways to kind of make that transition? So I love, okay, I'm committed to honoring. That means I need to be open-hearted. I like that framing. What are some ways when we're in our fear to move past that or through it or out it? What should we do so we can get to that more tender space?
Well, let's start with fear being a cortisol adrenaline flood in your brain. Okay, you got physiology there, and you're not going to get away from it. Okay, so Dan Siegel will say that this is your brain, this is your brain stem, these are your emotions, this thumb right here. And when we become frightened, our logic, these part of our brains, our logic and our knowledge, go flying in the wind. When we become calm, 20 to 30 minutes, this starts to fold back down and around. Now my logic can talk to my emotions, and this is a hug. This is our brain hugging us. Okay, it's not a punch, it's a hug. Just look at how much we've just snugged this all in. So now all of this reason and logic can talk to our emotions, and now our fear can calm down because we can make sense.
Okay.
So when we see that our spouse is frightened, talking to even a little kid when they're frightened, logic does nothing because it's up here. It's not here. It's not in the center of your brain. Settle down. And just be still. Listen to my pentameter. Watch it. Just let it go slower. Okay? If they'll let you touch them, touch will send the dopamine and the serotonin into your brain really nicely. That helps to eat the cortisol and the adrenaline.
Right.
Okay, so if they'll let touch, if that's fine, then do that. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, love is by definition something that's unconditional. We say
Mm.
unconditional love, but what is conditional love? I don't think that's love. I think love is unconditional. So how can I care for you? And
Okay.
that tenderness is important with a little kid, with an adult, with an 80-year-old. It doesn't matter.
I love the tenderness of which you talk about, with which you talk about tenderness.
Yeah.
And so let's just on one more note on that, let's talk about intimacy because you talked about touch and so forth. And
Mhm.
often what goes away when young parents have kids is intimacy.
Mhm.
They don't have sex anymore. They're too tired. They're too exhausted. They're too frustrated with their partner. They're too feeling undependent and or unsupported.
Yeah.
And that can become a habit. That can, as we age physiologically, things change. There's various times and ages and stages where sex becomes more of an afterthought or an obligation or a have to or a should or whatever. How do we come back to intimacy and recreate intimacy no matter what the stage? If that's kind of gone by the wayside, what are some ways back to it?
Oh, kindness,
Mm.
affirmations, that connection. So we need hormones to have sexual intimacy that feels satisfying.
Mhm.
Those hormones are released when we are connected, when we're emotionally connected. And so we'll talk about this in the first part of the program that I offer is this connection piece. And that connection happens through touch. It happens through compliments.
Mhm.
It happens through look, like a snark look will, okay, or dagger eyes will cut that really fast.
Yeah.
But a kind look or a wink
Yeah.
will start to turn on the hormones that we need.
Mm.
From there, so this doesn't bring you into the bedroom. This brings your body with enough hormones that they could actually respond, should you be.
Mhm.
Okay. And then we really just want couples to be able to spend somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes. I mean, I'd love 2 hours every night. That's not realistic. But if we could get 2 hours, like turn off your phones and things once a week for 2 hours and just chat with each other.
Mm.
Okay, if you have a funny reel to show them, do that, but get the phone out of the space and be you together.
Mm.
Go for a walk, do dishes. It doesn't like you don't have to do anything, but just do something that's sort of brain dead that lets you reconnect and say you are together.
Mm.
Okay? Care for each other to just think all of a sudden I can be physically naked and intimate when you haven't listened to a word I've said all night.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
haven't heard me say, I feel like I'm going to throw up. I'm so tired. And
Mhm.
now you want me to crawl in bed with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a disconnect in there. So
Right.
that compassion is really what helps to turn on the hormones. It says, even if I don't have much energy, I've got about 15 minutes before I just, the world is going to spin and I'm going to fall sound asleep. Then let's do that with compassion and with kindness.
Mm. Lovely.
Things change. You aren't in this is not a permanent situation.
Mhm.
Things can change. But you will feel stronger as a parent if you are connected as a married couple.
Mm. Yeah.
Say that again. You're stronger as a parent if you are connected as a married couple. You will make better decisions
Yeah.
financially, emotionally, parentally, relationally. Connect here with heart and mind and soul.
Ah, beautiful. All right. On that note, because I think that's a great, powerful message to almost leave people with, tell them you've got some gifts for my guests. So tell them a little bit about your offers, generous offers.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're wondering how your marriage is doing and you sort of like, I don't know how to get an outside viewpoint on this and I don't have the money and I don't have the time, then we've got a really quick quiz for you. It takes about 2 minutes to take it. You'll get instant feedback on it. And it's sort of a 2-for-1, because then if you just let the email come into your inbox, you're going to get 5 emails about different ways to do micro connections. And these are less than what our longest one is, that you have to do a 6-second kiss. If you're with your kids, and if you're doing the micro connection with your kids, it's a 6-second hug.
Yeah.
But 6 seconds. Okay, but that's what I mean. It's a micro connection, but it begins to rebuild and give hope. Okay. There's also the option to do a consultation with me, where we have just a conversation. How are you doing? What are your questions? And in some sense, it's sort of Dr. Laura-ish.
Yeah.
If you have questions, I'm going to just give you my best professional input with the thumbnail of info that I have.
Yeah.
Okay. If we want to go farther than that, then we go farther than that, but we would talk about that.
Yeah.
As per what your desires are.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Dr. Laura with far less judgment and a lot more heart. I love her clarity, but oh man, there are times where I just yell at the radio when I'm listening to her, because I am serious, and I yell at the radio and say, "Would you listen to them first before you?"
Oh, and I have said that to her on her radio show, not on her radio, but to the radio. Laura, Dr. Laura, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Shut up and listen, woman. And I yell at her a lot about a lot of things. Okay, so the gifts are: go and take the quiz, see where you're really at, get some feedback, and some great tips on lovely little ways that you can improve your relationship right now, no matter what age or stage your relationship is at. And also take Jan up on her offer to have a consultation about where you're at with your relationship, or your parenting, or your grandparenting. What are some ways to handle things? Because all of us have questions about how could we do this a little better? What might this, why is this not working? What should I be doing here in this situation? What shouldn't I be doing? Or how come my kid's pissed at me? Or, so as you can tell, Jan is a compassionate listening ear with a lot of expertise and ideas. So do take her up on that. When you go to the vault, so it will be in the show notes, the links to both of those, but when you go to the vault and opt into the vault, you will be able to not only access Jan's gifts, but you can access all of our speakers' gifts, or all of our guest gifts, and download any number of them that you would like. So please do go opt into the vault, take a look at all the other speakers' gifts, because some of them might be helpful while you're there. Download them, but more importantly, act on them. Don't just get the link and do nothing with it, or get the ebook and do nothing with it. Take them up on the offer. You're listening for a reason to this person at this moment. And it's probably because you need their support, their love. You need that connection in some way. Yes, you might have heard an aha, but that's great. Ahas don't mean diddly squat until you act on them. So act on them. Get some support. Call in support with someone tremendously loving and supportive like Jan, and improve the results that you have in your family and your marriage and your relationship, because we can always get better at everything that we're doing. All right, so I'd love to end on, I want to tell you very quickly, folks, about wonderful, speaking of which, getting support, wonderful program that I've developed called the Clarity Compass, how to create profit and purpose after 55. So please do go to maturepreneur.world and check that out. If you are looking to clarify your vision, if you would like to clarify your purpose, who am I now that I'm not who I've been my whole life? What's next? What do I want to do for my next chapter in life? What are some of the options? And can I get paid for them? And if so, how? Please go and check out that workshop. It's highly affordable. There's virtual and in person. And I would love, love, love to support you with clarifying what your next chapter in life is. So contact Jan and get help with those relationships. Contact me and we'll get you clear. And then you're going to rock going forward in your next chapter, my friends. So, Jan, what's one last piece of advice you'd like to leave people on both sides? Both those who are, parenting, or in relationships and maybe struggling. What's a piece of advice for them to leave them with? And for maturepreneurs, people like you who've been at this quite a while, who've gone through the ups and downs, and maybe looking for some encouragement to just keep going. What advice do you have for folks?
For parents, it's true that you will be a parent the rest of your life. However, you won't always be in this space of parenting. So do this space well, and your enjoyment farther down the road will be greater. This takes tremendous energy. Get the support you need, get the encouragement that you need, so that when you're done, and when your kids are grown up some, you are not plagued with guilt, but you are plagued with, plagued is the wrong word, you sort of carry with, I did the best we could. It's not perfect. Parenting is messy. I did the best we could.
Yeah.
And maybe we is a better word there. For the people who are a little bit, like kids are gone and what are we doing now? Your Maturepreneur people. I would say just pay attention to where you want to be and how you want to get there. Don't be afraid to pivot from one thing to another. It's a space of exploration, and go ahead and explore. Some things are great, some things aren't. Don't hold yourself, I want to say, don't be too mean to yourself. You've lived a good, full life to this point. To give yourself some permission to explore, to not have to be as perfect as what you had to be while you were working or the standards you gave yourself when you were parenting. Just give yourself some room to explore.
Love it. All right. And how about those older maturepreneurs who maybe have been at this a while and maybe flagging just a bit? What advice do you have for them? Or wondering if they should keep carrying on?
Yeah, the keep carrying on is probably the bigger challenge there. Take a deep breath. Listen to your heart. And when your heart says keep going, then take a look at what am I doing that's working? What am I doing that's not working? And make your adjustments accordingly. Be gracious to yourself. Okay, often, at least the people that I know that are stepping into this, past kids and sort of past first career kind of thing, they were really successful, so they should be successful at this too, and it didn't necessarily translate. And so taking just the grace to say, I had the courage to find something new, to try something new. Give yourself kudos for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then make adjustments as you need to and as you want to. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. It might be small. It might just be refreshing and renewing, but not money making. Okay.
Yeah.
Just enjoy what you have where you have as best you can.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here today, Jan, and for bringing so much heart. I hope for those of you who have been listening, the physiological response I've had in my body is my shoulders have dropped and I'm kind of feeling calmer. You just have that very calming presence. I hope that you got that at home too, and that it translated, and go get you some more of that by booking a call with Jan. And being gracious to yourself. That's great advice. Thank you so much for listening. Please pass this on and share, subscribe, like, pass it on, all those things. But there's probably someone who might need to hear these gentle words of encouragement. So think about who that might be and send them this podcast link. It's a great way to pay it forward. Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. I'd love it if you left a comment and subscribed. And I encourage you to apply one aha from this interview right away so you can turn your wisdom into wealth and your contribution into positive change. Bye for now.